June, the beginning of June of 2021, and I've been graciously granted this interview with Curtis Bowers, the award-winning producer of Agenda 1 and Agenda 2, and also the author of the Agenda Weekly at agendaweekly.com that people can sign up with $5 a month and be able to get some weekly insights into what's going on. So I really appreciate you taking the precious time to sit down just for a few minutes here.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to do it.
You know, I've noticed that family is really important to you. And, you know, like you've said in your acceptance speech of your 2010 award at the San Antonio Independent Christian Film Festival, that your family is important and you couldn't do this without your wife, and that the whole time you were producing your first film, Agenda, that your kids were praying for you every day. That's just phenomenal. So I'd like to know how your family has supported you in addition to praying through this whole time, and how you've really seen that benefit your films and your speaking engagements, and how God opens the doors and so forth.
Well, in many, many ways. But some of the key things, when I was first feeling like I should make a film, I'd never made a film before. So that was not my background. So a lot of people go, you shouldn't make a film when you have 9 kids to feed, when you haven't made a film before. But I prayed about it. I am a Christian, and thought, I think God wants me to make a film about all this information I've come across from being a representative in Idaho and studying what's going on. So I think it's kind of God when he gives you something to do that you know you're not capable of doing. So he has to help or it will not get done. So that was one blessing that came from it. But then I realized, wait a minute, I have my family. And I'd never really utilized them like I should have before that. Because I always thought, well, I'm the man, I'll go make the money, you guys go ride bikes or whatever. But then all of a sudden I was given something where I needed help, but I didn't know who to get to help me. And I started realizing, wait a minute. So I bought a video online about how to set up lights for an interview. And I gave that to my 2 daughters that were, I think, 12 and 14. I said, watch that 10 times and figure out how you set up lights for an interview.
Oh, really?
And so they did that. And a lot of the boys were little at the time, but they would bring me things that we needed and just help in many different ways. And we started filming each other in the house, and we'd watch it back at night. And I remember the first few weeks we did that, it was like, oh, it's terrible. They don't look good, because we knew what looked good and what didn't. And we started watching a lot of good documentaries, and like, why is that movie so appealing? And what, and we tried to mimic good movies. And so about the 30th day we took interviews in the house, we sat down that night and watched them, and they really looked good. We're like, okay, we've got that down. So my wife then started calling up all this list of people that I said, we need to interview these people. They've written books on this topic. They've studied this topic, for decades. This is who. And so she would set up the interviews. Then I'd take a couple kids with me. We'd fly to Stanford University here in California, or different places we went to interview the people. And I remember Ed Meese, who we interviewed here at Stanford, the Attorney General for Ronald Reagan. He was kind of surprised I had just 2 of my boys with me to film this interview. But they did a great job with the sound, with the lights, and then I was carefully doing the cinematography. And so together it took 2 years full time to make the movie, edit it. We did everything with it because we didn't know anybody. We did the color, we did the sound, we did the music, we did everything in it. And after 2 years, we finally finished it. And then God blessed it at that film festival. But so they became an integral part of my life on a daily basis, helping with, hey, I need you to do this, I need you to do this. And we homeschool our children anyway, so it was a great education on how real things work in the real world with real people. And so then once the films were finished, to continue on that vein, we started to travel. All of a sudden I started to get invited to speak at all these things. And I thought, well, I don't want to leave my family just constantly to go do that. So we bought a big bus where we could all go together in it, kind of a tour bus. And So we travel around, and my wife's like, well, if we're all going to be there, shouldn't we kind of be involved? I said, yes. Why don't you have the kids sing some patriotic songs or some hymns before I come up and speak? And here's what's amazing. And this, I'd like to encourage fathers in getting their children to be the blessing they're supposed to be by having them come alongside you in whatever you do. But I realized after the first few events we had on the road, I'd get up to speak and people would literally be crying, wiping their tears away. And at first I didn't know what it was, and I realized it's the children. Being involved in what their father is doing is blowing people away.
Yeah, that's precious.
And then I said, kids, listen, what makes people listen to me is the way you are mannerly and respectful of your parents and respectful of others. I go, your ministry is bigger than mine. Because when they see you, they realize that's not normal.
Yeah.
And so it makes Jesus look good, because they realize, why is it like that? Well, we're trying to do things God's way. And so it does make a difference. But so anyway, a long answer to that question, and ever since then, they fulfill all the orders every day that come in, and they've learned so much about running an online business and setting up speaking engagements and singing. We've actually recorded some family albums now because they have beautiful voices, and from that singing on the road for 10 years, they're really, I mean, they're as good as you get. They're just beautiful harmonies. Wow. And so we've had fun doing that in a lot of churches around the country too.
Wow, it sounds like you're living the dream life.
Well, it's when you obey what God's asked you to do. It's not always easy. It's not always easy in a bus with 11 people there traveling around. But He blesses faithfulness to Him. No matter who you are, no matter how small the little thing you're doing is, it's not small if it's obeying what He's asked you to do. And He will bless it. And then you get to see, wow, look what He did with our little nothing. So it's been great.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like God prepared you to prepare your family all along, way before you ever even got this calling.
That's right.